Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world away, and if this uniform doesn't give it away, today I'm going to be doing pack 6 of the Fanhome release and build the Star Trek Enterprise D. I've actually got 2 packs here to do, but I am splitting them up just to make them into bite-sized chunks. So, got no idea what we're doing today. Just having a quick look. It looks like we're doing the Cobra neck section, and we are starting to put our first panels onto the frame. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put a link in the video description, and there's also a QR code on the screen that you can follow. You'll be able to get this all the way from pack 1 where it's available. You'd need to check that. But I'm going to get straight onto it. So without further ado, engage. So here's the magazine for stage 6. Now I will give you a quick flick through. You've got an inventory of parts for the 4 stages that come in this pack, and then the instructions for each stage, as you can see. Looking like that. So we are doing quite a bit today. Lots of wires by the look of it. And obviously we've got the Cobra neck section there, as I mentioned. And then we've got some articles regarding the series there. So I'll just keep turning until the end, just so you can see the kind of things you do get in the magazine. But today we are going to be starting on stage 19 here, which means we've got some more lifeboats and some windows to put in a panel here. Once this is in and lit up like this, we are actually going to attach the first panel into the frame. So I am going to take my time at that so we can actually do this together to get the best placement we possibly can of that. Once that's done, we're adding another panel next to it, putting some windows in by the look of it. So actually this is quite a big stage. We're putting quite a few panels in here. So by the end of this stage, as you can see, loads of panels, and we're also putting a lot of cage work for that Cobra neck system in. So wow, loads to do. And for that reason, check out the size of stage 19. There's loads here. So let's get the whole thing open, and I will put everything strategically where I'm going to need it. So here's the panel that we get in this one. This is what we're going to be putting the lifeboats and the windows in. We have got the reflection panel here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a helping hands, and I'm going to put all the lifeboats in and the windows exactly as they're laid out in the magazine here. It does mean cutting these off the sprues. Lots of these there are. We've got some black ones as well. So what I'll do, like I have been doing, is get my helping hands just to lift this off the ground, make things easier for actually putting these in. Just like that. And then when I click my fingers, and there you go, they're all in place. Now you will notice that I haven't put these ones in the middle here. And the reason for that is because they're actually a different size. These are longer windows here, and that's what's going to be going into that section there. So I'm just going to get those in now. And as you can see on the top camera, that's every window put in now. Now we do have some of this black tape here, which I need to put over just one section, the windows just at the back here. So just line this up. It doesn't matter if I get it on the lifeboats as well, just to block out that light there. I'm just going to slide that gently to one side, because I'm going to need this reflector, and I'm going to need one of the lights here. And basically we're going to be having one of the lights going in this side and then coming out the side there, and it's going to be bent at 90 degrees. So that's going to sit in like that. I'm going to do the same with the yellow light. Put it into position over the other side. And again, get that really tight at 90 degrees there. So that's in like that. So time for the fun bit. I'm going to gently take off the plates that we've just installed everything to. And I want to be dropping this on top of it. Just like that. I'm being very gentle here, because in these 2 holes here, I want to put some BP screws. And I want to go really slow with these, because I don't want any windows falling out. That's holding that panel in. And then I want to take 2 more of these wires, and this time I'm just looking at the yellow and white side, and I'm going to be slipping them in underneath this section here. Just like that. And on the other side, the yellow and white one again, doing exactly the same thing. Perfect. Now I can put in 4 more BP screws just into these holes here. Now I haven't looked at the other side, but when I pick this up, all the windows should be in place like that. Excellent. Now once again, these ones at the side here, I do want to put up at 90 degrees, like that. Do the same on this side, like that. Okay, put that to one side. I'm going to bring over the frame. And that is looking just like this. How cool does that look? Okay, this first section is going to go into this area here on the front of the saucer. All the wires we got here, and there's 4 wires coming out, are going to be going inside this square frame here and here. Then I can turn this over, and now we're going to be laying out the wires exactly as they need to be. Now before I put it into place, we've got these red and black lights to put in as well. So they're actually going to go through the same hole. It's basically all the wires going through these 2 holes here. And it's going to plug into the side of this section just here. There you go, they're in just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure this down. I'm going to show you exactly how I've got the wires. So to do that, I'm just going to be putting some DP screws just through these 2 holes here. Okay, so that's in place. So let me show you these wires then. So the yellow wires are coming up through this little gap here on both sides. As you can see on this side as well here. The red wires, which come out the back, are actually still inside this square here, coming out this corner, like you can see there. And it's mirrored on the other side over here, coming out there. And then the lights that we had in the middle, as you see, are coming out of this left side here, both the red and the yellow and white, away from these screw holes, so then that can fit flush in there like that. What we want to do then is take every wire we've got, and I'm trying to be as neat as I possibly can to batch these together. I'm going to batch them just there, I think. Just like that. So we've got 3 LEDs here, and they're lighting up 2, 4, 6 places. And the way I've batched them, I'm trying to get as much lead through to this end as possible, because all the control boards are going to be around here. So this is going to need to reach over to this side. I could put that to one side. And now if you remember in one of the previous stages, we made a section that looks just like this, like an L-shaped section. And what I want to do is just separate these screws here, which are DM screws, because I want to separate these panels. Been very gentle, because obviously there's lifeboats in this metal piece here. Put that to one side. Bring back over the frame that we're working on. As a matter of fact, we're just working on this side here. Okay, so let's put this part in together. It's going to be going on this side here. If you have a look at this part, it's very important when we actually lay these. One side's got a lip, so whatever plate is going to go next to it here, this lip is going to go behind it. If it hasn't got a lip, chances are it's going to be going on top of it. Now, I want to make sure that we have got a split in this wire like that, separating the yellow and black from the red and blue. The reason being is because this is going to go into this little hole section just here, like that. But I want the red wire to be with this yellow and white wire we've got here. So I have loosened this screw up just so I can actually push down on the panel and get this in, as you can see. So I've got, probably best on the top camera, the red and blue in this little section here, but this black and yellow cable in this section here. Let me just tighten this plate back up. Now on this side, much easier. It's just a case of putting it through this square section here. Now when I put them in, I want to put them in at an angle like this, because I'm going to be bending these wires down. So I bend them at 90 degrees, and now I'm going to thread them through this section. That's good. Do the same on the other side. Bring this bulb through as well. And I want to make sure that all the wire on this side is inside this frame. So that's going to kind of go in like this. So once again, I'm going to be holding that in with 3 DP screws. And there we go. That's that panel in just there. Now, the bulb that's coming out of this one will eventually go into this bit here, but we're not putting that piece in yet. What I am doing is taking this panel now. Now this panel we're following around on this section here. Remember I said about that lip? Because it's got a lip on this side, this panel is going to be going on top of that. So what I'm doing is I'm removing the bulb from this side here, because to get this piece in, I'm going to be putting this through the hole just here, right at the side of that plate. Bit of a squeeze, but it will go through. And I also want to carry this yellow bulb through here as well, just like that. And then can pull that whole wire through. Just keep these wires out the way, because it does get confusing quickly. Now this other wire, when this is in place, kind of like this, let me just turn this bulb at 90 degrees, because that's going to go into the gap in this section here, just like that. The wire that we've took out is actually going to be going through this square of the frame here, and it's going to go into where we've just taken it from. So I'm just going to turn this over and put this back in. Perfect. Put that back round here. And once again, DP screws to hold this into place. Excellent. Again, put this to one side. And I want to retrieve this panel here, being very gentle with it, that I took off that L-shaped plate, because I do have some windows now to put into here. So I've got some spare windows. I'm going to do that now. Then I'm going to bring up the saucer section again, and you may find it easier here to get yourself some masking tape and just pin this wire down so it's away from the area that we're actually working from. So I'm doing that here. It's just making things less confusing. But you will notice that I've still kept this loose yellow and black wire free, because I'm going to need that now. So this plate is going to go into this section just here. So if I gently put this in, I'm going to lie this down on my work surface and put this over the top of this where it's going to go. Just like that there. Now, what I'm going to do is take a 1BM screw first, and I put it in that middle hole really loose just to keep that into place. Do the same with the 2 next to it, really loose. I'm talking that it's barely holding that plate in. Matter of fact, it's just having like 1 turn. So the loose wire we had here is going to be going into this side just here. I'm then going to be taking the other lead that we had, which is this one here that came in this stage. And this one's actually going to go under the frame of this section just here. So I'm just going to get that in like that. So you can see how that fits in. There is a gap under the frame here, which means that that can actually move quite freely in there. I'm plugging in the yellow and white wire into the one next to it just here. And then once those 2 lights are into position, I can start tightening these screws up. So I'll do that one first. And then this one. I'm just making them hand tight, not fully tight at the moment. And then that one. And then in these 4 holes here, I'm going to be putting EM screws. These are flange screws, and they look like that. It is pretty tricky to get that one in because there's a little bit of frame there, but you can work around that. All that's left to do is we've got 3 BM screws to put into those positions there. And when that's in, that should look like that. Excellent. Now we just need to tidy these wires up again. So aside from the one which is this red light here, all the rest of these wires I want to bundle up. So once again, I'm just taking them from the stalks so I can get as much wire from them as possible. Just like that. So now I've got 2 bundles of wire, as you can see there. Now we do get to test it now. So basically we can just put loads of lights into this. I'll just get some random plugs in here. So I have tested all the lights, even though some of these are on. The test board doesn't give you enough plugs to actually plug them all in. But that's that stage complete at the moment. We are moving on. We're still not finished with stage 19 yet. So the next thing to do is just to take this dorsal phaser array here, and that's just going to go into that section just there. And once again, from the underside here, I just want these DP screws just into these holes to hold that phaser array in place. So that's now looking like that. Excellent. We don't actually need this bit now. I can put this on the floor and bring up this frame section that we had, I believe, in stage 15, because we're going to be putting another bit of cage on this. It goes on this way, and it's just going to go over these parts here. So if I just line that up where it's going to go like that, and I'm going to need an awful amount of BM screws to put this into place. So I'm going to start at the back here and get these all in. There's basically 2 at the back. It's basically at any of these larger holes here that they're going to go in. And there you go. When that section's in there, that's all there is to do in that stage. Now, just so you know, that's what that looks like. This stage alone has taken 1 hour, 40 minutes. So don't be afraid if yours has taken just as long. But I'm going to move on to stage 20. So here is stage 20 here. It looks like we've got another lights panel. We've got another battery box here. And just looking at the panel that we've got the reflection chip at the back. Once again, I'm going to be putting windows in this. Mounted that in here. And I can click my fingers and that'll all be done. And there you go. There's another one done. Looking good. Okay, we're going to be putting the back onto this now. So I've got the reflection back here. Let me get the screws ready for this. So it's BP screws. Gently take this off of my helping hands, lay that down as gently as I can, and then put this over the top. Perfect. And screw in these 3 BP screws. Now you probably see I've only put 1 screw in at the moment because once again I do have to put some of these LEDs in. So I want to take a red one. For this side is going to be going into the back here. And then on the other side here, I've got the yellow one. And another red and blue one. Make sure they're locked in. That they are. And screw the other screws in. You don't want to screw them in too tight because you'll end up rounding them. So just checking how that looks. They're all in looking like that. And once again, I can just test these panels just to make sure all the lights here work. And as you can see, they do. No problems at all. Bring over the Enterprise again. And this time, the one we created is actually going to be going on this side, sort of left side. So if I just turn it around this way, it's going to be going in here, like that. So the way they want me to put it in is these 2 wires here are going into the gap just there, and then the one from the other side is just going to go into this large rectangular section there. So it's just a case of getting them all through, bending these ones at 90 degrees so I can get them into this area here. And I do want this red and black wire to be with the yellow wire just in there. So again, it's just a case of putting it underneath this lip here so it fits into that section like that. And this one has got a lip on it, so that's going to be fitting on top of this plate. And it's going to be held in with 2 DP screws here and 1 DP screw just here. And I'm going to zoom up this camera again just to show you these wires. You want to make sure that this yellow wire here is around this thing. You don't want this wire here trapped under this block under here. I've got mine going round, as you can see there. And that way this can fit a lot more flush. Also, don't worry that this seems to be out of line with this one here. When we put the edges on, it's going to actually pull all this together. So don't worry about that so far there. Now this last piece we got, which we created in the last stage, is actually going to go into this section. So when we put this section in, it's going to be going through the holes here and here, the wires. So one's going to be going in here and one's going to be going in here, like that. Putting them at 90 degrees again. You're going to be tempted to actually put this wire this side of the frame, but because the frame again is lifted on this side, you don't need to do that. Okay, but what I am going to do is screw this in, and once again I'll do a close-up and show you how the wires are. Now the lip on this should be underneath this one, so if I show you from this side now, that's how that should look compared to this panel here. And that's all there is to do in that stage. You see, we're going to be looking at the drive section again. We're going to be putting the battery box into this by the look of it. We are making another panel and we're going to be putting that into place as well. Doing all the wires for it and then testing how this is going to look just there. So once again, here's the parts for stage 21. This stage, I think, is just, or this pack is taking me all day. So the first thing I want to do is take the battery box, which came in stage 20, bring over the drive section, and this is going to be fitting in here onto these two posts just there. It's fitted in with BM screws. Excellent. So when that's in, we've got a place for a hexagonal nut there. That's just going to drop into there. And then I've got a cap to put over the top of it. We want the open end to be facing this way. So that's going to go in over the top there. And that's held in with BP screws. I can then put that to one side. Bring over the panel that comes in this one. And the first thing I want to do is put the phaser strip on here. And that's going to be held in with CP screws. So again, 3 of those just from this side. I want to put the little bit of transporter emitter on here, which has got an adhesive backing on it. And it's just a case of lining that up and putting that in the recess like that. Then I'm going to be putting the lifeboats in. So once again, I'll click my fingers and we'll have all this done, lifeboats and windows. And then this is just me. I do tend to put a little bit of insulating tape, just like we did on the last stage, just over the top of these lifeboats here, just to aid with some of the light blocking there. So once I've got that section and it's all looking like that, I'm going to bring over the saucer section again. Turn it upside down. So again, just get some masking tape just to keep these wires out the way. I don't want them getting in the way of what I'm doing here, because this section is going to be going down here. So it's best to actually bring the saucer to where you want the parts to be, on like that. And once again, we're going to be starting to put it in with BM screws. Now, the loose red LED we've got here, I want to just pass underneath that there. So that's going to be ready to go into the socket here. Now, I've only put 2 in at the moment, because this unassigned deck light that we had here from this side is going to be going into the groove here, like that. And then the lights that we got from this stage, take the yellow wire. It's actually going to go under this part of the frame here. Again, on the top camera is probably best. And coming out here. And I want to put the yellow and black bulb just into there like this. Now it's just a case of getting in all of the BM screws. Now the loose light that we've got here from the bulbs we put in, we want to make sure it's just under this frame here. So it's coming into this square here. We're not actually using that at the moment. And then all that's left to do is just to put the flanged EM screws just into these points just here to hold these two together. You don't have to go too tight on these, but there's 4 of these to put in. And when that's in, it should look just like that. You can test the lights if you wanted to. I've already done that, but that's all there is to do in that stage. So stage 22 is the last stage of this pack. Just so you know, the recording time at the moment is now 2 hours 20 minutes. So we've got another panel here, as you can see, to do. We're going to be putting this in, then we're moving back to the drive section. We're screwing into place the top section, actually putting some lights and a control board into this. Lots of lights going into this. This is going to be fun. So we can actually see how this looks lit up. And that's going to be all there is to do. Okay, let's do this. So once again, I'm going to be taking my helping hands. I love having the power of Q to be able to click my fingers and it all be done. So there we go. That's another panel done. Gently lie that down. Again, I want to have BP screws at the ready for this because I'm going to be putting this reflective strip over the top. I'm going to hold this in place kind of loosely with these BP screws because I have got some lights to put into here. So we're going to be putting one in each side here and one in this side just here. Excellent. We're going to leave these two loose for now. Bring up the saucer section. And this is going to be going on this side just here. The most important wire for this one is this whole thing going into this square here, including the red bulb that we've got here. So let's post all of them through. The other wire here can actually stay on top. Eventually, it's actually going to go down into this square here. But while we're putting it in, it doesn't really make a difference. So line this up where it's going to go. I'll turn this over. And I'm holding it in with these DP screws. So again, that's going to look like that. Again, don't worry about pulling that section down there because the sides when that on is going to do that for you. But that's in, no problems at all. Put this on the floor. Bring up this metal section that we had. Oh, what was this? I think this was stage 18, something like that. Lay that down. And in here, we have got the brackets. Now, this is going to be the brackets that are going to support the saucer section when it's joined together and not in separation mode. And basically, they're just going to drop into these gaps here. So we've got one there. They're all shaped. So you're just going to kind of match the shapes up. Now, once they're in position, we're going to be taking what we created in the last stage. And I'm going to be putting these all into position here. Just like this. I do want to line up these little things now. Get some BM screws. And I'm going to be screwing this down. Now it's 3 BM screws on each side. Excellent. Now if you look on the top camera, just the orientation of each of these lifters. So on this side, they fit flush in there like that. Now I'm going to be putting the circuit board in. Circuit board's in here. And that's just going to go slightly off center into those points just there, again on the top camera. Now the screws closest to the battery box are FM screws. And the other 2 screws are BM screws. Now these are the battle section lights here. I'm going to be plugging these into the port just here on the control board. And the way they come out here, they sort of split up. I'm going to have one going through the hole just here and one going through the hole just there. Probably best on the top camera. So if I just pull them around, I've got them coming out of these square holes here. Just going to wrap them other side of the battery box so you can see them here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snake these around to come through the little gap on this side here, and the same on the other side over here. So if you look at how this is on this side, it's going to look kind of like that. Very well aware that these wires, as you can see on the close-up, are above the frame, but that's the way they want it. Now, do you remember this? We made this, oh God, was this stage 16? With loads of wires on. We're going to be putting this into place now. And let me explain how this one's going to go. Hopefully, again, one of the cameras The wires on the bottom are going to go through that same square there. So bring one through there. And one through this side over here. You will notice, remember I told you these are going on the frame? There is actually a little bend in this frame to accommodate that wire there and there. So that's good. Keeping this wire out the way for a second. The next wire that we've got here is going to be going down into this square. Just here, or this rectangular, should I say. That's going to go in there like that. And just feed that out. And then the last wire is actually just going to go into this last hole just down there like that. Then it's a case of pulling all of these wires together. Now I'm going to start piecing this in one bit at a time. So I'm going to line up just this back section first. That's going to be held in with a CP screw. So again, just line it up. Get that CP screw in there. Then a CP screw just in the side of this one here. One. And then just its same in the other side. And when that's in, it should look like that. That's those 3 CP screws in 1, 2, and 3. So now it's time to plug in all of these plugs on here. So let's get them in. Basically, they all plug into these ports at the top, except for this red and green wire, which I'll just put under here, which is just going to plug into that 2-point port there. Don't worry about tidying the wires up yet, because I'm going to test this now. So I need to put some batteries into the battery box. Now remember, the battery box lid is magnetic, which fits on top here. So these are AAA batteries that are going in here. So we want the button top to be upright on these 2 sides and down on this side. So it should look like that. Then I want to take the top of the battery box here, make sure that's in position, and then screw this down. Plug the last plug here, which is the battery plug, which is going to go into this 2-point port here. And if I turn the lights out, you can see how that's looking. And that is all there is to do in that stage. So basically it's controlled by this switch here. So turning the switch off and on is what's controlling that. We haven't mounted the switch yet, but that's that section completed. Obviously we've got the impulse engine there as well. And then it's just a case of putting the little magnet thing on top. That hides all of that. That's the end of that pack. What an absolute crazy pack. That took 3 hours, 15 minutes to do everything. Don't know what the edited version is going to be like, but oh my God, there was so much. Looking good though, isn't it? I do like this section here. And things worked first time, so that's a change. Anyway, I really do hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.